Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Welcome back to FSSH Adjunct Professor Lecture Series. Thank you so much for all followers Adjunct Professor Lecture Series. Thank you for all your support. We are in 12 series now. Thank you so much. Okay. Previously, we had Prof. Kit as Tabor, 7 slogan for constructivist teachers, and Dato Habibah, school leadership in time of crisis. Okay, and now we have yang berbahagia, Dato Freida, to talk about how she developed her own curriculum and syllabus. So, let's call all your friends, clique families to join us, and don't forget to like and share, ask and comment through FSSH, Facebook and YouTube channel. Okay, so before we start our program today, I would like to invite our beloved deans yang berusaha, Professor Dr. Zaida Tuntasir, for her welcoming speech. So please welcome Prof. Zaida to the studio.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much, my colleagues, Dr. Norzana. First of all, I would like to welcome all our audience from Facebook and also Facebook Live and YouTube channels for able to join our FSS Adjunct Professor Series 12. And today we have our honorable speaker, Dato Freida Muhammad Pilus. Thank you again, Dato Freida, for your time, for your contribution and sharings on the informations related to Cempaka schools. And the titles for today is very interesting. It's related to curriculums delivery and syllabus development in Cempaka school. As one of the private schools in Malaysia, I believe there is a uniqueness of curriculum at the Cempaka school that makes Cempaka schools Populus, and I think can be categorized as one of the international schools that focus on Malaysian curriculum. And today's session, Dato Freida will share with all of us how do they design the curriculum, and with the elements of the uniqueness of the curriculums. And I think the session today is a right session not only to all the academicians at the university, but also to all of our students, our teachers, to look into the important parts of running a school, which is actually a curriculum. Everybody knows as a public schools in Malaysia, we already have our existing curriculum designed by our Ministry of Education, and I believe the same contents of the curriculum is focused by Cempaka school. But of course, there is a innovative ways on how Cempaka considering or embedding or integrating the existing contents of curriculum based on the Ministry of Education with additional elements into Cempaka curriculum. As we know, curriculum covers 3 important things: the contents of the curriculum itself, the delivery methods, and the assessment. And this is make the topics for today Adjunct Professor Series is very interesting topic. I will actually join it through Facebook Live to learn also from Cempaka School, from Dato Freida, how do they design their curriculum. So for all School of Educations and Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities students, the undergraduate student, especially who now in the process of attending practical teaching in Malaysia school, I believe if you have time, please join today's session so that you can learn later on how to design the curriculum, especially for private school. And thank you very much for the committee members headed by Professor Fatin Aliapang, and also the secretariats, Dr. Nozana, Dr. Nordayana Abdul Halim, and the technical persons and all the committee members under this Adjunct Professor Series. Thank you very much for these efforts, and we will have in future we have another series that today is actually the series number 12. So thank you again for Dato Freida Muhammad Pilus for your time and for your effort as one of our adjunct professors. We are very honored to have you as our adjunct professors so that you can share with all of our students on how to actually head a private school like Cempaka School, and we believe that we learn a lot from you and also from other adjunct professors that we have at the School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. So without further ado, I believe everybody excited enough to pay attention on today's session. So without further ado, I actually end my opening remarks with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And I give back the sessions to Dr. Nozana. Thank you, Dr. Nozana.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your insightful opening speech for today. All right, as what I mentioned before, our topic is about curriculum delivery and syllabus development in Cempaka School. How they do that? Okay, so to know more about this, let us hear from Yang Berbahagia Dato Freida. Before that, I would like to welcome our moderator for this series. I think this is the first guy in FSSH, Adjunct Professor Series as a Jam Professor Series event, and I would like to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Aqeel. He is a senior lecturer from School of Education, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities. So please welcome the first ever guy, Dr. Aqeel, to the studio to moderate this event. Hi, Dr.
Hi,
Aqeel.
hello. Yeah, hi, hello. Thank you very much, Dr. Nurjana, for passing the floor to me. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, and very good morning to everyone. Thanks, Prof. Zaida, our Honorable Dean, for opening remarks. And welcome everyone to FSSH Adjunct Professor Lecture Series 12 with our beloved Dato Freida. So this is our speaker's fourth time with us. So I'm sure some of you may watch previously 3 Dato's very interesting lectures in which Dato shared about the continuum of learning and the importance of lifelong learning. And not only that, she also shared about how to become a lifelong learner and embrace a lifelong learning culture. So from there, Dato passion and her inspiring journey reflects, or I must say, the leading path for those who want to begin or start something new. And that's nothing is impossible, and that is the Dato Freida story and experience. So now, ladies and gentlemen, before Dato start her lecture, I would like to give a brief introduction about Dato Freida. She served government sector for almost 13 years before she resigned and started Cempaka School in 1983. So Cempaka School emphasized the hard work, academic excellence, and of course nurturing children. So we are now glad and honored that now Dato again with us and would like to share about a very important topic, curriculum delivery, yes, and the syllabus development in Cempaka School. As you may know, Dato is a founder, champion, and the pioneer of Cempaka School. There's a lot to learn from Dato. Now, without a further delay, I would like to invite our distinguished adjunct Professor Dato Freida to begin her lecture. The floor is your, Dato.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aqeel. A very good morning to everybody, especially in attendance today, Professor Dr. Zaidatun, Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. It's a great privilege and honor for me, for you to be present during this talk. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for all the kind words you've said just now. Of course, today we also have Dr. Nurzaina, Senior Lecturer of the School of Education, and the moderator who will be guiding me through this whole talk, Professor Dr. Aqeel Khan. So, good morning to everybody who's watching us now. And let's start. Well, today's topic is curriculum delivery and syllabus development in Cempaka schools. Now, before that, let's talk about what are the aims of education. So we have the why we have education, what is it, how of education. Why actually refers to the vision and mission of the school or the learning institution. What refers to the content that what you want to teach, the subjects, Now, how refers to the process, the pedagogy used to deliver the content to achieve the aims and objectives of that education system. Here, the aims and objectives of Cempaka schools. Now, when we talk about curriculum, somebody's got to formulate it, somebody's got to design it with certain aims and goals. Now, in Cempaka, we are not concerned with this because it's given to us as is already provided by the licensing board. So our schools is being licensed by the Ministry of Education. And because of that, they give us the curriculum. And we are also a registered school of IGCSE, University of Cambridge, right up to A-levels. So they also give us the curriculum. And we also follow the International Baccalaureate program. We do the International Baccalaureate Diploma. So that is also given to us by the IBO in Geneva. And we also have an early years school, and we follow the Reggio Emilia system. We are inspired by that system. So all these curriculums are already designed, formulated by all these bodies, and we get the license to do it. So when we look at this, when we look at all the curriculums in our schools, we find that there is a common goal, there's a common goal and objectives of all the curricula that we have to follow. With the curricula given to us, we then set out to analyze them, and we craft and design our vision and mission. This vision and mission must be properly planned and crafted so that when we then deliver the syllabus, deliver and develop the syllabus, it will then meet the aims and objectives of the curricula of all the various boards that has given us the license. Now, what we see actually in all this, the aims of all these curricula, they are almost similar. They all talk about the development of the whole child. So they talk, we have to develop them cognitively, physically, linguistically, socially, and emotionally. So with that, then we started to craft and formulate our vision for the whole group. It's not just one school, for the whole group, for the whole curricula that we have to follow. So let's look at the Cempaka vision. Here, our vision is to become the leading school of choice in the country, providing students who are all-round achievers, maintaining a strong academic track record, whilst maintaining a complete co-curricular resume and meaningful community service experience in a relevant, technologically supported environment with 100% acceptability in a university or equivalent institution. So that's the vision. That's the vision that we can see for the next 5 years, 10 years, and along the way, we might change a little bit, we might add a little bit, we put emphasis on certain other things and less emphasis on what we have done because it evolves. Education must evolve, it must change, it must be challenging. So as we go along, we do some changes because 5 years time, the environment is different. And therefore, we need to go further than that, have a broader vision. Now, let's look at the mission. Our mission is to serve students and parents who believe in the value of hard work. We place a lot of importance on discipline. That's very crucial. That's core, actually. And on good moral values. That is also very, very important. It's nice to be clever, but I think it's very, very clever to be really nice, to be nice people, to have good values with a moral compass. And our mission is also to create a competitive environment, but also a nurturing environment in which children thrive, emerge leaders in their respective fields. To see children learn by trying, to seek success in every initial failure, and to strive to do better. So it's okay if they fail, they didn't do well, but the main thing is they must have the grit and tenacity to do better and to look forward. So that is our mission. Now, what do we do? The outcome of the vision and the mission, what we hope and we should, and we are doing it now, is when the children graduate from Cempaka at the end of 12 years with us, they would have developed the resilience, the knowledge, and ability with a moral compass. So that in all, we talk about the whole development of the child. And the mind, the heart, and soul of Cempakans would be the genuine desire to make a positive difference in the community and country, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. Now, how do we deliver the curriculum and develop the syllabus? Like just now, we say it's all given to us. Now we need to deliver this syllabus. 1, they study and learn the context or content with a list of materials from books to online research. Students are put through a very competitive environment to know, understand, and learn the depth and breadth of all subjects. So that's very crucial. Discipline, focus, hard work, that is the core of Cempakans. 1. Next, we have lots of field trips to enhance understanding of subjects through experiential learning. So they go everywhere. We have international trips, we have local trips to learn many things, like to learn cultures. They have to learn about themselves, to learn about cultures of other people, other countries, their traditions, their history, to feel the people there, to see what they do, how they are, and how they live. So you can only do this and really reflect on it and observe if you go on several trips. Now, another thing we also do is participation in international and national events, either to forums, debates, seminars, and expeditions in and outside the country. So they've been they take part. They take part in the recently we had this anti-child marriages. So they actually set up to study it, to look at the problems of child marriages in terms of the culture of it, the tradition, the history of it, the health part of it. And then they came up with a memorandum. This is designed by the children. They came up with a memorandum, and we actually went to Parliament House to hand over the memorandum to the Prime Minister then, and to Dato Sriwan Aziza, to voice the concerns of young people about anti marriages among very young children. So, and when they participate in international conferences, we create awareness of the world beyond Malaysia, what has happened outside the country, you know. So they do that through forums, seminars, and debates. And then we also have project-based. Project-based means we give them a theme and they have to work on it. For instance, you know, like they talk about solar energy. So we give them this topic of solar energy. So they have to study this in depth to see what other countries are doing, what can you do with solar energy, why do you must have alternative fuels, and so on and so forth. So they do that. There are many themes we did on pollution and so on. And then we also have mission-based learning. This is where students are given a mission. Let's say we see, okay, the mission is to look at the education system in Malaysia. So then they have to study this. They have to study, they have to work out the questions that they need to ask. They got to interview people, you know, and they got to study our education system before Merdeka, after Merdeka, how it has evolved, you know, the pros and cons of what we have, and so on and so forth. So the mission is given to them, and they have to solve problems. They have to find out what it is about and then solve problems and give solutions. We also have personal-based learning. Students are allowed to pursue their passion in any field. For instance, you know, the opportunity is given to them to share what they're passionate about. Like, for instance, somebody is passionate about cooking, baking a cake, for instance, you know. So that child then has the opportunity to teach baking a cake. Now, it takes a lot to teach to bake a cake. And other children can register for her workshop. Even teachers, and I've actually attended one or two of the workshops that they have done, you know. So if supposing then they love to make cupcakes, making cupcakes in the house on their own is easy. But when they have to teach somebody to make the cupcakes, they have to have a lot of R&D and experiments in the house. And in fact, one mother mentioned to me, oh my goodness me, my kitchen is like a war zone now, you know. So they have to do that. They have to go through the process of learning, of management, of making mistakes, and then solving the problem, and so on and so forth. So that's a very good way of teaching children to become independent learners. Then, of course, the soul of Cempaka is community service. So all Cempakans are members of the Persatuan Anak Penyayang Sri Cempaka, and also Save the World. So these two associations in the school is very important. Everybody got to be a member of it, you know. Here they plan community service in and outside the country. So they do a lot of work in the country. We've gone to Pago to actually repair houses, to clean houses after the floods, and we went to Jirantut and we actually clean about maybe 10 houses, you know, because the mud was about 6 inches thick after the big flood. And children go there to do this. And then we also went to a school in Kelantan, a religious school. We repaired the school. We cleaned, you know, there was a big flood there, so we cleaned, we repaired the school. We donated chairs and tables and books and writing material and so on and so forth, you know. So all this gives a lot of for the children to experience, to discover about themselves, about other people, and learn about what it means to be a good Cempakan, a good person with a moral compass. Now, with all this, Cempakans are actually taught to give presentation of their work. It's not just going on a trip and at the end of the trip, oh, that's it, but they actually got to come back and give a presentation. For instance, I'll give you an example. A group of children actually went to Rome many years ago, and they gave a presentation. It was a very good presentation that actually I told them, wow, the embassy of the Italian embassy should actually appoint them to be a guide, because they not only just go there and have pasta, but actually before the trip they have to do research, and then what possible places that they're going to visit in Rome, and then at the end of it, and then when they're there, they have to observe very what goes on there. They have to learn, interview people there, and then they learn every bit of, say they go to the Colosseum, they have to know the history, what was it used, and so on and so forth. So actually Rome then became more than just a visit by a tourist. So they go there to do some work, and we want it to be as scholarly as possible. So when they come back, they have to give a presentation, So in everything that they do, actually, they got to give a presentation. So when they give a presentation, this means they are actually developing the language skills. Language skills is not just writing, but talking, presenting, and so those are the skills that they learn. Then many subjects are taught. So I'll just mention a few. In the IDP program, they have what we call CHAS. Now, this is a core part of the program of the diploma. CHAS stands for Creativity, Action, and Service. So they have to do something that is creative, that's interesting, they have to take action, and then they have to do service. Then we have another subject, Global Perspectives. Global Perspective is about learning about yourself, learning about the culture and history and tradition of other countries, other people, and then how you can actually interact with them, and eventually there'll be a sense of harmony, because you understand other people and other people understand you. So Global Perspective is a very interesting subject, and we actually do this. Then, of course, we have Moral Education and Ugama. And Moral Education and Ugama, at the moment now, a lot of, we have books and we do exams on it. But in Cempaka, it's not just about reading the book and do the exams, and then Ugama is about the same thing. But what we want them to do is to experience, to discover, to understand what are the 25 nilai-nilai murni, what is the core of Ugama, So we want them to do that. We want them to learn about humility, about being kind, about empathy. And they can only learn this if they do it, they see it, and they feel it. So they do a lot of field work regarding this. And then we have physical education. Physical education, we have amazing expeditions. We have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. They do a lot of activities in these expeditions. And of course, in the field, the different types of games. If we play ball games, we do anything and everything that needs a ball. Football, softball, tennis, and table tennis, anything at all. Sepak takraw, that sort of thing. So they've got to learn about rules of the games and all that. And most important thing, sportsmanship. That's very, very important. And we do ilmu alam, geography, we do language skills, bahasa, English, French, and Mandarin. And visual arts. Visual arts is another subject that we do. And we also introduce in Cempaka, and we've made it compulsory, performing arts. Performing arts is They learn to sing, they learn to dance, and there's theatre and that sort of thing about performing arts. Now, I will give you a few examples because there's so many. Actually, there's so many things I want to share with you. We have tons of video clips and so on, but it's quite impossible to do it within this hour. So I'm going to show you a few videos and have a look, and after that I'll give you a short description. So the first one is a trip to Jelebu. If you don't know where Jelebu is actually in Negeri Sembilan. So let's have a look and see what happened there. So Cik Zul, can we have Jelebu on screen?
Raise your hands and sing it with me. There's sometimes the strongest and most wonderful things of those we cannot see. Sometimes the strongest and most wonderful things are those we cannot see.
Okay, now that's really wonderful. And you know, it was quite an experience for Cempakans. Can you imagine? They are from the city. They've never been out and actually even stay in a kampong. So the children actually stayed in a host family. So many of them, especially the non-Malays, they had to learn to eat with their hands, you know. And then they make rendang, they made lemang. How many of you have made lemang? Even adults, you know. So they had to wash the banana leaf and prepare the bamboo and so on. So they did almost everything. The children did everything, and they also had classes with the little kids, played games with them, and it was a very good experience of learning about what does it feel like living in the kampong. So I think it was a very successful trip. The children enjoyed themselves, and at least they can then feel and see that, oh, this is how people live the kampong. And this, after this trip actually was very good, because the relationship that they've built, the friendship and the relationship that the children have built with the kampong people has lasted until now. Because during the fruiting season, they actually go to the kampong. They go back to their foster parents, and they have fruits. So that's a very good outcome. And when they left, actually, it was so emotional. You could see parents crying, and hugging the children, and so on and so forth. This is also a good lesson for national unity, because we are a diverse society, and we get Cempakans from different ethnic groups, and then they go to the kampong, and they all the Malays there, and going there, and the people, they are so generous, so loving with the children, and I'm so grateful for this trip, because I was there as well and I enjoyed it. And we do this not just in Jelebu. We have been to Bera doing the same thing, mengemping. Many of you may not even have experienced this, to make emping that you eat with tea or with grated coconut and sugar, brown sugar. Now, as a result of that, we also have another project in school. Cik Zul, can we show the REACH project, please? This is called a panicle, and later when we harvest it, we're going to learn how to harvest it so that we don't spoil the plant. Today we have two tuai or ketam.
Will grow many tillers.
That's a tiller. It grows many tillers when you throw the paddy seed.
From one plant, it can grow even up to 50 tillers. Yeah.
To us. The ones that are heavy will move to the back of what we call this is called a tampi. Rasmi padi bila berisi ia akan tunduk. It means that as you become more successful, as you become you have more money, you are more well known, you must not put your head up and be so arrogant and proud. You must be like the paddy. The paddy, once it's full, it bends down. That means when you are famous, you are successful, you've got a lot of money, you must learn to be humble. You must learn humility. You must learn empathy. You must learn how to be kind to other people. And you must always be humble, like the paddy. Well, thank you, Cik Zul. Now, can you just imagine, we actually planted our own paddy in Damansara Heights. Damansara Heights is in the center of the city. Can you imagine planting paddy in Damansara Heights in our school? So it's quite amazing, I think. And maybe we are the only city school that has got a paddy patch. And we did this. So after that, we actually did mengemping to make the rice flakes. But we didn't do the mengemping in school. We just did a bunting that is to separate the paddy from the stalk. And then we brought the paddy to Jelebu. The paddy that you saw in Jelebu, it was actually our paddy that we made into rice flakes. Now, this program actually is as a result of what we call REACH. We have a REACH program, a project that we introduced in school. REACH stands for Responsible Earth Citizenship, right? Now, we work with University Pertanian. We have Professor Rosnani, who retired, and he came and to help us with this. There are two things that we did there. We did that. One is about nature, about earth, and so on and so forth, and one is about photography, birding. We did birding. So there were 7 modules in this program. We had water and life. So they got to learn about water, how important it is, what sort of water, what you see in the water. We learn to study the microbes in the water and why there is water pollution. What is water pollution, So they studied about water, and then they studied about recycling for a better earth. And then they studied about wings of life, that's birding. Now, wings of life is birding because we believe that if you learn how to take photographs, and then we said that, okay, what sort of photographs? So we introduced birding. That means you learn about birds, you learn to watch birds, you learn to count birds, you learn to see the different varieties in the world of birds, and then you learn to take photographs of these birds. So while doing that, you actually learn patience, you learn post-editing, you learn where the birds are. You've got to go and search for the birds, and so on. And then we learn about the living soil. So they have to measure the pH of the soil. So everything about soil is not just looking at the soil, but actually to go to the lab and study the soil in the lab. And then they learn about the air that we breathe. The air, what was the component of the air, the pollution, air pollution, why it happened, how it happened, and so on and so forth. And of course, the flora, forest, jungle, plants, and so on, flora and fauna of the environment. So with the photographs, they can document their work, and they have a journal on this. So that is one of the projects that has come out of REACH project. Now, as part of talking again about nature, we also belong to an organization. It's an international organization, Slow Food International. So we are an official member of the slow food community. What is slow food? Slow food is the opposite of fast food. It's not like the food is very slow. The fast food is like, you go to McDonald's and you eat it. No, slow food is actually about food that is produced organically, hygienically, and you give fair price to the people who produce the food, that the farmers, you give them the fair price of the work that they've put into their produce, and you pay for that. You don't pay for the middleman. And then, of course, the food is healthy, is planted organically, you don't put pesticides and so on. There are about 160 countries who are members of the slow food. So in Cempaka, we call it Cempaka Garden to Table. So we actually started a garden a no-dig garden using organic material, and then after that we use it for our cooking, and we learn a lot about the plants that we grow, about the herbs that we grow, the vegetables that we grow, how they grow, and we learn about the pests, how to control pests in our garden without using pesticides and so on. We actually use organically mixed, organically made pesticide to get rid of the pest. And also we plant plants. There are plants like the marigold also actually get rid of pests in the garden. So there's so much to learn actually, about this. So and annually they actually have a big conference in Italy, the Slow Food Conference. We were supposed to go last year, but of course COVID-19 stopped us in our tracks, and it was cancelled. And it was we are going to do it this year online, and hopefully one day we can do this, because when you see other people, we can learn from their experience and the problems and solutions that they went through with their slow food project. Now let's have another video. Let's watch the CPAC glimpses. Please, Tezel. Is there, get ready for 2020, but then 2020 came with COVID-19, so we didn't have a show last year. But this year we're going to have one, but not on stage, but it's going to be a visual one. So it's going to be a different format. We are trying to do this. It's going to be a half-hour visual show. We call it Mary Poppins. It's Mary Poppins, but our version of it, So performing arts is compulsory in school. So what do we teach there? When people join this, and all the children actually, it's compulsory for them to do this. They do speech and drama. They take up a musical instrument. They dance. They sing. In primary school, this is compulsory. In secondary school, they can choose to go into theatre or into music. So we have our own orchestra and so on and so forth. Now, this is very important because you learn poised, you learn to be confident, you learn to be responsible, you learn commitment, because it takes all this actually for you to be able to be part of this, to be part of the show, to be part of these musicals or theatre that we put on, because otherwise if you're not committed, you are not responsible, and you do not know teamwork, then you cannot do this. So all those characteristics of a wonderful person can be harnessed and developed on stage. And on top of that, every year we have actually 7 shows, 6 nights and 1 charity show. The charity show, we actually invite all the children from several orphanages, old folks home to come. Even from the hospital, children who've broke their leg, they come in a wheelchair and to come and watch the show. So it is also something that you share something beautiful with children who are less privileged, and that is amazing, because they never have a chance to watch a world-class production. So we make it as professionally produced as much as possible we buy rights from America, and we do this. So everything was done by children with teachers, but children do bulk of the set design. They sew costumes, they learn to put on makeup. So there are lots of things that they learn when they put on a show. Now, let's have a look at another aspect of how we develop our syllabus. Let's look at history, and we call it History Alive. Can we have it on, Tizul? Okay, thank you very much. Well, that is really very interesting. Now, a lot of people, when they study the Second World War, and we have to remember dates, we have to remember the personalities and so on. So History Alive is something that is quite a good way of actually making history more interesting, because a lot of students say, oh, history, I've got to learn the events, I've got to remember the dates, and they find it very boring. So what happened was, we actually had this project, and it's in a shopping mall. They had to look at the various topics of the military. So when they talk about the military, actually, they have to know what armaments did they use, what tanks, what rifles, and they actually had to design a terrain, a battlefield, and they put all these tanks and miniature tanks and soldiers, and they actually enacted a battlefield. So they must know the tanks, what tanks was used, and how far the tank can shoot. So where do they put the soldiers? So it was actually they are in a battlefield, and they played this Flame of War, War of Flames, Flame of War. Is it this project, this board game actually, where they teach you on how to conduct actually war that is real in World War II. So the children could actually feel what it takes, to fight in a war. Now, they also talk about, they also did research on what was it like then. So you see, when the men go to war, there are factories that's got to run, So then the women then, because they don't go to war, they work in the factories. Now, women, when they work in the factories, then what happens? Fashion. For instance, in the factory, you cannot have your hair all over. It might fall into all this machinery that you need to use to make things. So they started to cover their heads, and they started to wear turbans. So like this, they wore turbans. So in those days, the very fashionable turbans, women start to do that. And then if you look at their clothes, they also have lots of pockets in their clothes, like military trench coats, but with pockets, but beautifully designed. Why do they have pockets? Because in the factories, you need a lot of tools. You got to carry your tools. So what they do, they have to carry them in the pockets. So from there, they actually design to wear dresses with pockets. And at the same time also, they have to recycle and make do with whatever materials they have. So there could be uniforms, that is discarded, but still quite good. Parts of it's quite good. So they learn to applicate, they learn to make montage and make it into a fashion, and they learn about food at that time, because you see, food got to be rationed, and you cannot make bread because they didn't have flour. So then they had certain recipes, like using potatoes, corn to make bread. And they also had rationing of butter, because like in Britain, they eat butter, but they have to ration the butter because the soldiers need the butter. So what they did was they rationed the butter, so there'll be more butter to be spread out. The pun is unintended, to be given to the soldiers. And they also had art and entertainment during the Second World War. So you find music, songs during that period. And of course, medicine and so many things as well. So the children actually, they even make clothes, Second World War II clothes to display. So they had presentation, they had movie clips of war scenes. So people who went for the exhibition could feel World War II. Now this whole exhibition was actually planned by the children. So they themselves got to strategize, they got to plan, they got to get the poster done, and so on and so forth. They get to do promotion and advertising. So there's a lot of work during this History Alive project. There's a lot more to talk about it. And then maybe one day we can have films of war, we can play that in UTM to feel, what it is like to be at war. So now let's go on to the next one, talking about war. Now let's look at our Malaysia Day. Cik Zul, please.
One nation, one vision, thriving democratically, multiculturalism abundant, weaved in a socio-cultural unity. This country, an unmatched close-knit community, painted a future in a land of opportunity. Despite your imperfections, despite our myriad of differences, we unite to advance as one.
Jalur gemilang raised, we stood proud, arms stiff, chest out, the nation's anthem belted. My beloved country, land of glory and benevolence, not once have you failed to remind me of the true beauty of nature. Your rich alluvial soils, mountains, and unhampered forests. Not to forget your pristine golden beaches and shimmering emerald seas.
Tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku, kau layak dibela dan dicintai dengan penuh rasa hormat, dengan penuh rasa kasih. Tanah yang akan sentiasa berukir dalam hatiku, sentiasa menjadi kebanggaanku.
Selamat Hari Malaysia.
Well, we have no more time actually. We have very little time. I've got a few more, but it isn't better. I'll see you at the next lecture where I'll talk about the student. Then maybe we can talk more. So now I think we can have the Q&A. Yes, Tezol?
Wow, Great, Dato, for sharing views which are beyond curriculum and is only for us. We were thinking Cambridge, etc. But your views are really practical about that. From this, really, Cempaka learning, I'm sure, is a fun, not boring at all. And it's really inspiring to me and, of course, of all our audience. Great to know discipline and hard work are core values of Cempaka. Wow, traveling trips, not only enjoyable but learning. During traveling, kids come out of comfort zone and able to adapt a new learning environment in a very short time. Learning with people from a variety of backgrounds and cultures is really great. And once they mature and go for diverse working environment, so what they feel comfortable. So this also increased creativity, innovation, problem solving skills, and finally they become better decision making person. So I'm sure which our society and country needed for practical and positive development. And this really traveling is important for education to learn and with the developing positive personality. And of course, as Dato mentioned, when children saying something at this stage, their confidence developing and their teamwork increasing, so like when they write a script, children are learning writing skills improving. So all of these showing Dato you're like great leading role in the Cempaka. And yeah, sure. So I think we are short of time, of course. So let's open question and answer session now. Time to hear now some questions from audience. Can we take 2 or 3 questions? Let's have a look. Any questions from the floor? Is there any question? Audience are encouraged to ask questions. We are waiting for the questions. Okay, Dato, no problem. I think just I'm curious to know, what do you think about encouragement? You know, nowadays for parents, like success more important than children happiness. So is it success everything, or we should teach them how to maintain well-being, happiness, or something? What do you think, Dato?
Oh, I think it is everything, You cannot do one part. We are a human being. We cannot have only one part, I think when we talk about happiness as a student, what is happiness? To me, happiness as a student is learning the joy of achievement, the joy of discovery, the joy of experimenting with so many things, and that is happiness as a student, because as they learn new things, and as they do that, they become independent learners. And once they're independent learners, it's such a joy to learn many things, so that is very important. People talk about just passing the exams, but I say that you come to school is not just to study, but it's actually to learn many things, to explore, to discover, to experiment. Like in Cempaka, we say Cempaka School is a training ground of and for life. It is where the journey of a person's future starts and continues ad infinitum. It goes on. Learning continues with the foundation laid in school. But they must always bear in mind the overarching principle of challenging the mind. Challenging the mind, strengthening the body corporate, learning about friendship, relationship, and nurturing the soul for a better community, society, and nation. So that you, with all this knowledge and your resilience and with a moral compass, you can inspire yourself and inspire other people to do likewise. So they also inspire other people. So therefore the rippling of this wonderful idea that, you know, nothing is impossible, will continue. And we have to work with discipline together to solve problems, to discover, explore, and to work up new strategies, and hold dear to independent thought and action. That's very important, you know. You must have your own thought and your own action, otherwise you cannot go into critical thinking and solve problems. But they must always be responsible and accountable for their actions with integrity and with a moral compass.
Yeah, that's great, Dato. I think when learning becomes fun, so automatically they will be happy, and together happiness and learning. That's really great. So, Dato, I think we have one question from the audience. Let's have a look. How to make sure that we can integrate successfully a few subjects in a program like what Dato did. So this is a question from our lecturer, Dr. Chuzeri.
Yes, this is in fact, in everything that I showed just now, that's integration of many subjects, you know. Like for instance, the history and life just now, many subjects. Visual arts was there, you know. Mathematics and physics was there because they've got to calculate a lot of things, you know. And then what else? They have to learn geography. They have to learn the terrain of the battlefield, you know. And then they learn economics as well, because they learn about rationing of food, why they had to ration food. They learn about entertainment, there was music and so on and so forth. They learn about advertising because in the Second World War, there are certain advertisements that was designed during that time. So there are many things that they learn. Now, we did have time actually to show a very good one, which is a mission-based learning. Mission-based learning is a very powerful system of teaching children where we say, okay, your mission is to give, the one that I wanted to show was a mission to give a public announcement about safe driving. So when they do this, you know, they had to learn additional maths into that program. They've got to learn about the effects of bad driving. They learn how to solve problems. They learn to solve problems, how to do this, you know. And then they learn physics. They have to learn about inertia, because in that program it is about safe driving. So they have to calculate the speed of the car, you know, when the car hits this person, you know. I think they have to learn physics. They have to learn maths that I mentioned just now. They have to learn being considerate, because in that video, the child actually told the mother, you know, I'm going to come back and don't worry, blah blah blah. So they have that element of being considerate, calling your mother that you're coming back, don't worry, you know. And then of course additional maths. They have to calculate the mean for number of road accidents from the data and so on. And then they have to. Then we had Bahasa Malaysia. Because they use Bahasa as well, you know, in this project. And then also a moral education, the moral of not texting in the car, you know, because you might cause somebody an accident. So being considerate for others, you know. Then they learn about what else? Chemistry. So they have to learn to understand the state of the materials used on the windscreen of the car, state the properties of the importance of the composite material used in the car windscreen, and the car itself, you know, the safety of the car as well, they have to learn. And then also they have it's a very big project that we didn't have time to show, but maybe later on my lecture on the student, we can do this, you know. And then at the end of it, we also evaluated how better to do the project. So that's one thing. In fact, if you look closely at all the videos that I showed just now, there are many things that that is developed there that you cannot think, you cannot say, oh ini kasih sayang, you know. Kasih sayang pergi cium tangan or say nice thing to somebody. But kasih sayang is more than that. Kasih sayang is also a feeling of compassion, a feeling that's inside you, you know, that eventually it should automatically come out. So in agama also, you know, kesabaran, kasih sayang, keprihatinan to other people, tolong menolong, that was shown in our Jelebu trip and so on and so forth, you know. So maybe in the next lecture I can go in depth into this.
Oh,
Yes.
that's great. Yeah, sure, Dato. Yeah, good to hear. And Dato, from Dr. Dina Abdul Halim, our one of the lecturers, she asking how Cempaka School developed the curriculum that balance the cognitive, social, and affective among the students. So they are
It's very
asking about the balance, social,
it's very
cognitive.
easy. It's very easy because it's done with planning in such a way that, you know, there must be some cognitive skills that has to be imparted. For instance, I'll give you an example, like the stage play. You want to do a stage play. What are the things that we learn? Language skills are very important. You know, script writing is very important. Even when they sing, they have to memorize the lyrics and how to convey the lyrics in a song to project the feelings, the emotions of that song. So there's a lot of cognitive skills that is developed there. What else? Just now, social, isn't it?
Yes, social.
Social skills. But of course, on stage then, you know, children got to learn to develop friendship, you know, they got to learn teamwork. It's very important, teamwork. If you are in a play, if one or two are absent, then it spoils the whole play. So then they have to learn teamwork, they have to learn responsibility, they have to learn to be committed, and so on and so forth. So it is a very powerful tool in teaching all this. It may not come naturally, but over time it becomes part of the person, part of their DNA, you know. It's become natural to them. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good, Dato, to hear about the answer. I'm just curious about like for Dato mentioned very interesting thing about the Second World War. So because World War, we just remember the personalities, name, but it's lot to learn from there. Like how Dato, like we can raise money. Children, we can teach children how to raise money by like from the World War II. How to learn that, Prof?
Yes, in fact, we do a lot of international trips. Like, for instance, they go to Korea. So when they go to Korea, they go to the DMZ zone. They learn about North Korea, South Korea, the history and the war and so on and so forth. They talk to young people, you know, who are actually, they've got to go for national service, only a few years older than them, you know. So they do that, and they went to Vietnam and they saw the what happened, the devastation of the Vietnamese War and the torture and so on and so forth. So all this, you know, all the trips, okay, they've been to Chiang Mai, they've been to Bandung, they've been to Mumbai, and everywhere that they go, actually they do community service. They do community service in these countries, you know, as well as staying with the host family. So when they do all that, and they do, like, they go to Jelebu, we go to Pago, we do a lot of trips in Malaysia as well, and we have planted over 21,000 trees in 8 years. We do that, you know, with Peka. Now we need money. So actually the children raise their own money. They do all sorts of projects in school, outside school, to raise money. And a few of them get sponsorship and all that. We don't want to say, okay, you just get the money from your parents. Because you see, not all our children have parents who just dish out the money for them, you know. We say just now, we're interested in parents who really value hard work. So parents actually understand that education is expensive, it's an investment, and they've got to work hard for the children. So now when we do this, the children also must understand they have to work to do this. So they have many projects, you know, to collect money. Like for instance, we tell them this year when you are in year 9, the trip, because we try, what we do is in year 7, 8, 9, 10, the trips that they have to make. Okay, it's not compulsory, but children actually by and large want to do this, and then they will plan sometime. And we also say, okay, today the canteen, you can sell food in the canteen, because actually the canteen we do it ourselves, but we allow them to provide lunch. Today you sell the lunch, so they have got to cook and sell the lunch. So all the proceeds will go to their trip. So different kids will do things, or they work in teams or individually, and then they pool the money. And then let's say if they need 10,000, they pool the money, and it is slightly less, and then they share, you know, 10,000 they share between how many people, and then they monitor it. So it's not like, you know, just taking from their parents, because then it's not a learning experience. We want them to learn hard. You want something, you got to work at it. Yeah.
That's great, Dato, to hear. And I think we should teach our kids to be independent. That is the way, I think it's very nice. And today, Dato, we learn a lot from you. You know, learning never ends. And I hope we can still have some more sessions in the future. So, yeah, really great to hear. And at the end, we wish you all the best, Dato. And also, we would like to give you like our heartfelt appreciation for your willingness to participate. So for now, I think we are lacking time. So any final words, Dato, from your side?
Okay, I think all schools, but in Cempaka, we try as much as possible to give the children an enriching, meaningful, purposeful, and a memorable school life. That's it. So all the best to everybody, and thank you very much for listening to me today. And hope to see you next time.
Thanks, Dato, for your final beautiful words. And I must say, Cempaka School is very lucky who has very creative and influential leader. Once again, thanks, Dato, for joining today's session. Definitely, we will see you again, inshallah. So now I pass back to Dr. Noorzana. Now, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Aqeel, for moderating this program. See you then. Again, thanks a lot Yang Berbahagia, Dato Freida, our SOE FSSH Adjunct Professor. That was a very interesting and a sparky sharing. We learned a lot from this topic. Whoever you are, you can bring good essence and have important role to support the curriculum. So perhaps we need more extra time to talk about this. And we are at the end of the event. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for everything. Okay. And I think that's all for today. We have many series to go in future, inshallah, and with many interesting topics. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching us. So I think that's all from me. Until we meet again. Assalamualaikum. Bye.